we have so few rules at our store.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful for us for you to even ask.
Yeah.
Disrespectful to us.
Sure.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
You know, speaking of Star Wars, I was reading about something today I'd never read before. A different order to watch the Star Wars films in.
Okay.
Because there's usually two. You either watch them in episode order, starting with episode 1 and ending with episode 6. This is for the main two trilogies, not counting the Force Awakens and stuff beyond that. Or you watch them in release order, 4 through 6, then 1 through 3.
Wait, you said not counting Force Awakens? Do you mean not counting Rogue One?
No, not counting episode 7 or on from there.
Oh, okay.
The basic, like, Luke and Anakin Skywalker saga.
The first two trilogies.
Correct. There's an additional order that someone made up called Machete Order. And it's because the guy's website is something... The word machete's in there.
Oh, I thought it was based off of how many people die per episode and you watch it with escalating body counts.
No. So...
for the record, at the end of this, I will tell you...
what your opening was going to be?
What? No. My order in which
okay.
I rewatch the Star Wars films.
This is Machete Order.
Okay.
Episode 4...
I just pictured Danny Trejo at home watching these.
If that helps. Episode 4, A New Hope. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Basically what it's doing is you watch the first two released films, the story of Luke Skywalker, and at the end of episode 5, Luke Skywalker finds out that Darth Vader didn't murder Anakin Skywalker. He is Anakin Skywalker.
What?
Which then you go to episode 2 and 3.
What?
To get the story of Anakin Skywalker.
Homer Simpson walking past the line of people and saying, I had no idea that Darth Vader was his father.
Oh. So then once you finish the backstory establishing that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader and how that happened, then you do episode 6 where the story is about Luke trying to redeem Darth Vader into being Anakin Skywalker.
So didn't you skip one?
You skip episode 1 because basically that's a movie that isn't really about Anakin Skywalker. Okay. While he's in it, the main story is Anakin's relationship with Obi-Wan. A bunch of characters from episode 1, Qui-Gon Jinn, Chancellor Valorum, Darth Maul, either die or are never heard from again in the movie. So they're only relevant to that one film. Everything else that's in there that you need to know, characters that are introduced, get reintroduced in episode 2 or 3 and become more relevant to the story.
Now, without taking us too far away from your topic right now,
okay.
I want to point out that last week and this week, I made Simpsons references.
I appreciate that.
And you weren't like, yay!
Well, I was trying to stay on beam, you know?
I guess.
But anyway, that was a thing I'd read about today, and I thought, it's really interesting. Like, when I eventually watch the Star Wars movies again, I think that's probably a good way to do it, because either other way, like, if you're doing them in episode order, starting with episode 1, episode 1's not real good, and 2 and 3 aren't much better. So by the time you get to the quote-unquote good Star Wars films, you're already kind of bored and lethargic. Doing it the other way means watching the 3 better Star Wars films and then having to slog through episodes 1, 2, and 3. So doing it this way means just when you've kind of hit a break in the story at the end of Empire Strikes Back, now you do 2 episodes, and only 2 episodes, with pre-Darth Vader Anakin Skywalker. And then when those are done, you get to conclude with the big finale of Return of the Jedi.
Well, as uncommon as it may be for me to make Simpsons references, it's equally uncommon for me to talk about the order in which to watch Star Wars films.
Sure.
And this will surprise no one when my rewatching order is...
None of them.
None of them.
None of them. Shocker. Well, I mean, speaking of both The Simpsons and Star Wars, Patrick, crazy news this week in the world of entertainment.
Yeah, I know, right? Peter David's writing an Avengers comic.
Was it the online one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I look forward to in a few months when people come in and go, yeah, I thought that Peter David Avengers comic was supposed to come out today.
Do you think anyone will do that?
Well, I didn't think it would ever happen, but we got multiple people asking for the Black Panther Long Live the King digital comic on Wednesday. And it's super fun to tell people to their face, I can't sell you that. You can only get it digitally, and having them go, really? Like, good job, Marvel. I don't know if that's necessarily turning people into digital readers the way you want them to, so much as making them resent how you're releasing products.
I get it. I ruined your segue.
It's okay.
You wanted to make the segue about digital comics being able to be read in one specific print format, i.e. The Barrier being released for Free Comic Book Day.
That's exactly it.
Oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to,
all right.
To ruin it.
You can catch it in the edit, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we will. So yeah, this is a thing that has been rumored for the last couple of weeks, and apparently
Barrier number 1?
it went through to... No, I'm going back to Star Wars and Disney.
All right.
We'll get to Barrier later.
A lot of moves in this podcast, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, well, we're active. We're always, like the comics
agile
industry,
podcast.
we have to learn how to pivot.
Sure. That's a term that never goes wrong when tech companies say it.
Nope.
Anyway.
So Disney owns or is buying most of Fox properties for just stock options? It's weird, right?
I don't necessarily understand how all the financials of it work. I
Never
think
will.
A lot of it, I don't know if it's a cash offer per se as a merger, and basically what that means is that the people who own Fox shares will get like each share of Fox is worth a quarter share of Disney now.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's just a straight up stock thing or what, but that's how it's
Well, I don't know, and I don't care.
No, you don't own shares in
if
Fox
anybody,
or Disney.
If anybody does know,
or cares,
don't worry about writing in to
No.
explain it. I am unconcerned.
You don't want a string of links to Forbes and the Wall Street Journal.
No. Selfishly, we as comic fans are all excited to see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four come back to Marvel control and to have Marvel Studios movies.
Sure, people are already salivating about the idea of either Doctor Doom or Galactus or both being Phase 4 villains.
Here's where it gets tricky. Fox doesn't outright own the Fantastic Four movie rights. They own part of it.
Who owns the other part?
A Canadian company owns part of it.
Oh,
and
I assume that'll all get settled.
Well, maybe, but everything that Fox did, they had to do with their permission.
Sure.
So, outright ownership is not 100% for Marvel right now. For the X-Men, yes. For Fantastic Four, no.
I feel like the Fantastic Four thing will get sorted out. I mean, when a company like Disney wants something, it's just a matter of price. And a Canadian company is probably going to have a number that Disney can live with. Through negotiation, they'll reach that number.
How do you think they feel right now? Probably in massive control. Like, oh man.
Well, it really depends on exactly how much control that other company has. Like, if it's really a matter of, like, they are the final arbiters of if a Fantastic Four movie or TV show ever gets made again, that's a really good position to be in. If it's just a matter of, like, well, if you want to release it in Canada, like, they can figure that out.
No, it's not as easy as that.
No?
From what I understand, which is little.
Okay.
But, I said before, we were selfishly excited for this as comic fans.
Yeah, but
Big ultimately, this is a bad thing.
Yeah, that sort of consolidation of media is not great long-term for consumers.
No, I mean, look at how often it's been opposed when it's major tech companies or cable providers merging.
Like, to be clear, as a fan of the Marvel Studios films, and not so much a fan of Fox's recent films, I always wanted Marvel Studios to get the rights back. I didn't want Disney to buy Fox. That's a different thing. I'm a big fan of a lot of TV shows that are on Fox. Comedies and dramas and what have you. One of the knock-on effects of this is that Disney is buying Fox, the TV show producer, not Fox the network. And the way that the financials work for TV networks is that if you don't own the studio that's making the shows that are airing on your network, you can't really afford to run a TV network.
Yeah.
So networks that don't have a partnering studio, like ABC has, you know, all the Disney ABC TV studios, and Fox formerly had 21st Century Fox. If Fox doesn't have that, they're down to sports, news, reality shows. Like, the idea of them ever doing, like, a Brooklyn Nine-Nine or a New Girl or a Bob's Burgers or Gifted, really difficult for them to make sense of that financially, because they don't make money on airing it, they make money on owning it.
Yep.
And they don't own it.
Yep.
So some of those shows I don't think are going anywhere in the short term. This deal could take up to 18 months to get all of its due diligence and lawsuits out of the way.
Yeah, these things take forever.
So, this season of TV is fine. It's not like Bob's Burgers or Gifted is going off the air next week. It's that in a few years, where are these shows going to end up? Like, what network is going to be buying them? I don't know that they fit on an NBC or a CBS or an ABC or a CW? Like, are these shows just not going to exist anymore?
Somebody had supposed that at the end of, was it you? Like Infinity War or whatever Avengers Part 2 is?
Uh-huh.
That the end credit sequence would be the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, post-credit tag should be like the X-Men or the Fantastic Four showing up.
What'd we miss?
This... Is it all over? This actually makes kind of... Some of the Marvel Studios news, or lack thereof, makes sense. Kevin Feige has been talking about nothing post-Avengers Infinity War Part 2.
Right.
Like, usually this is a point where it's like, well, that movie's coming out in 2019... Then what? And there really isn't much of anything. Like, they've been really quiet about that. And some of that has to do with contracts being up and not necessarily letting the public know if certain actors are coming back to play characters that they've been playing for the last 10 years. But some of it also could be because he knew that there's a possibility that they were going to get the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back. And having those characters under the Marvel Studios umbrella rather than, Bryan Singer or Simon Kinberg or whoever else has been doing them, changes the equation of what movies you're releasing in a year. If you have options that include doing a Fantastic Four movie, maybe you don't do Doctor Strange 2 in the summertime like you were planning on doing.
Yeah.
Maybe you hold that off a bit and you do X-Men first. Or whatever.
It is exciting.
Yeah,
but
it's interesting. It's also terrifying.
It's terrifying, and it comes on the same day of the net neutrality vote.
Yeah, which went exactly how...
Everyone predicted.
Basically how the FCC said it was going to go months ago. There were no surprises there. There was no making them change their mind. That's not how that committee works.
One of the things that just dismayed me to no end about this whole process is the viral videos that they were making in support of dismantling net neutrality.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to wade into a big, internet firestorm or whatever. But at the core of it, the thing that bugs me is that they're basically saying we should repeal this law because it's unnecessary. And my thought when someone says that is, if it's unnecessary, why not keep the law? It's like if you and I were making a deal on something, and you said, I'm definitely going to do this. And I'm like, great, let's put it in writing. And you're like, well, we don't need to put it in writing. You trust me. And it's like, I did before you said that.
What about parking spaces?
Now I don't trust you so much. Like, if this is no big deal, then just agree to it. Like, clearly not wanting to agree to it means... well, we agree with it now, but we may not want to agree with it in the future, and this gives us the opportunity to do that. And it's like, that's what we're all afraid of.
This is the only issue that the country has been united on in the last several years.
That's okay.
And it still goes the wrong way.
Yeah, the chairperson of the FCC basically said it doesn't matter what we have to say.
Yeah.
We don't get a vote in this, despite it being something for, the public good.
Right. And I specifically wasn't mentioning his name because giving him his title and his name sounds so stupid.
Yeah, he's dumb.
And I don't want to perpetuate it. And yeah, it's very annoying. And I don't think that it's going to affect us the way that I think it does as a business. I don't know though. Like, will it be a factor for our credit card processing?
Well, much like the Disney-Fox merger,
it's going to take a long time.
Saying you're going to do something is the first step in actually getting something done. Any number of things can happen. There are already lawsuits being mounted. I don't expect them to do anything, but you never know.
True. I do know that Illinois is one of the states that is suing.
Sure. A lot of states are for both the process that took place and the effects of this new order. So yeah, who knows exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. It doesn't look good for a lot of things.
It's hard not to be demoralized when, after such struggle and such fighting, the country earned a tiny victory.
Oh man, that's always how it happens.
And then it's immediately negated.
People were excited about the Cubs finally winning the World Series. What happened like a week later?
Yeah. And then it's amazing to look at social media feeds, which you're extra thankful you don't have to.
Oh my God, am I
How
ever?
Everything...
That's okay, those won't exist for much
is
longer.
either... like for the last 3 days, it's just been Roy Moore, Star Wars, net neutrality, Star Wars.
Yep.
Man, I'm tired of seeing people talk about Star Wars.
Because you haven't been able to interact with them in that conversation. I understand. Soon enough, Patrick. Don't worry. We'll get there.
Soon enough.
I
just can't believe that a Star Wars fan as big as yourself hasn't already seen the movie.
coming out today.
But you could be seeing it this second.
I couldn't get tickets in time. The soonest I could get tickets was 10:30. I
Well-
mean, technically I could have gotten tickets earlier, but it would have been not as good of a theater.
True.
So being a Star Wars nerd who also has a
Standards.
minimum level of convenience and status that he wants to see a Star Wars movie for the first time with, means that 10:30 was what was going to happen. And it's fine. We had to do, I think, the same thing for Rogue One. I don't know if we did for Force Awakens. I can't remember. Or maybe it was
No, it was for Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. And
Yeah.
it was fine. I mean, I was a little afraid of, like, milling about in the concession area thinking, oh, man, I don't want someone wandering out doing the Homer Simpson, wow, I can't believe, whatever.
Yeah.
I
I don't think you'll have that problem.
And nobody did. And I wasn't concerned about it with
Also,
Rogue One
good
because...
Simpsons reference, Dal.
Thanks, man.
We talk about you not having seen it now, but by the time people get to listen to this, you'll have seen it
Twice.
maybe
Three
three
times.
times.
Maybe 3 times. Yeah.
3 times. And even I will have seen it.
Yeah, reluctantly.
Well, I mean, I work the next couple of days, so it's going to be
It's
like
gonna
the
come
number
up.
one question.
Sure.
I was happy to do that with Thor, less happy to do that with Justice League.
Yeah,
We'll see. And to reiterate, I don't dislike Star Wars.
sure.
I just don't have any level of
You don't have a fandom for it.
fandom for it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if it's a good movie, you'll enjoy it,
Yeah.
but you won't, like, think about it afterwards or get excited about it or whatever.
I don't think I own anything Star Wars related.
Wow, okay.
However, you being a huge Star Wars fan, just only have some books.
I do. I don't go in for Star Wars merchandise generally, mostly because
Good for your wallet.
there's a lot of it, which is the main consideration. As someone who gets the collector bug, I have to really temper that against, how much space there is in my life.
But Dal, the Porgs are so cute.
They're okay. I mean, I'm sure they'll be fine in the movie. I don't have the, like, antipathy for them that some people seem to have, but I think they're okay. I mean, they seem cute, I guess.
Wait until you find out when you push their stomach, they say, Tal.
The joke I have with the Porgs is basically the same thing I had with BB-8, where people were freaking out about BB-8, and it's like, man, you say that now, but wait
What
till
if
he
he's
has...
racist?
Yeah, what if he has some real weird ideas about the Holocaust? Like, you don't want that. Like, then you're going to be less of a fan.
Well, at least when BB-8 has him, he's only saying those in
His bleeps and bloops?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say his Josh Schwartz, Bill
Uh,
Hader voice.
Ben Schwartz.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, Ben Schwartz.
Well, like you said, you're not that much of a fan.
I am a Ben Schwartz fan, though.
He's
And
great.
I guess Josh Schwartz, he's pretty good, too.
Yeah, I heard that Runaways show is pretty good.
Yeah.
You start watching it yet?
No, I'm going to do what you're doing is I'm waiting.
Sure. I say that, and then the series ends, and I forget about it. So maybe next year.
Also, I need to set up a Hulu account, so there's that.
Sure. Maybe in the new year.
I have heard, though, the biggest complaint, I think, is there's 6 episodes in now.
Mhm.
They haven't run away yet.
Yeah, I heard that. That was I guess even in the first 3 episodes that went out, people are like, a show called Runaways, they haven't exactly run away.
And the show spends equal time on the Pride that it does with the kids.
Which I think is fine. I mean, they cast some decent actors, and I'd be interested to see what they have
And
to
James
do.
Marsters.
Oof.
Just a joke,
Rough.
everybody. Just a joke. He's my favorite actor that portrayed Spike.
That's pretty good. Even more than that puppet?
Oh, man.
Second favorite
Oh,
actor.
man. Wait, no, he was... Was he ever Spike as a puppet?
I feel like he must have been at some point, because
It
they
was- it
made
was
that
just-
puppet,
Right,
right?
but it was just a...
Angel was the puppet in that
Yeah.
episode, but I feel like they must have snuck in somewhere.
Man,
Maybe they didn't.
I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really can't tell.
I guess you'll have to check the Wikipedia.
Hey, Dal, you want to do a follow-up on last week's first story for the podcast episode?
What was it?
Patreon.
Oh, Patreon. Yeah, after what looked like a week of... and by the way, like, we usually don't do, like, breaking news kind of stuff. By the time we record, things have already kind of had a few days to percolate and digest in the larger information ecosystem. But this was one that had happened, like, an hour or less before we recorded. So some of the details weren't exactly right because Patreon really, really did a bad job of rolling out their changes. So people were interpreting things ways that didn't turn out to be correct or missing key reasons why things were happening because Patreon didn't say right away. But the long and short of it was that Patreon was going to be, instead of doing one monthly bill for people that included all of your various pledges, so if you had $21 pledges, you would just pay $20 on the first of the month. They were going to be changing it so you'd be billed on each month on the day that you signed up for that pledge. So if you had 20 pledges scattered throughout the month, you'd pay like $1 on the first, $2 on the third, $1 on the fourth, and so on. You'd have 20 charges from Patreon over the month. And each of those would add, the minimum amount was like 32 cents and like 5% or something. So a $1 pledge became a $1.38 pledge, which means, again, if you were one of those people who had 20 $1 pledges, you were pledging like, what does it work out to? It's like $27 or something? Some ridiculous amount?
Yeah. Much higher than...
Yeah, $26, $27. It was a lot. It was more than people wanted to spend. And it was a much greater increase the more pledges you had. So people flipped out. A lot of folks on Patreon lost pledges. There was a lot of anger. Patreon, the next day on Friday, tried to explain what was happening, and they did it with charts. And they did it as, hey, this is going to work out great for everybody. But it was already working out really bad for most of their creators. Over the weekend, different people were talking to Jack, one of the CEO, I think, of Patreon, and one of the founders.
Jack
Conte was the
I'm
CEO.
thinking of...
Jeff Schock was
Jeff
the
Schock, yeah,
from
the
Questionable
creator.
Content, who was one of the guys who was actually talking to like different reporters and talking to Patreon specifically because Patreon wasn't making any big announcements right away after the second charts post. So it was kind of radio silence for a few days, and on Monday it was, hey, we're going to have an announcement soon, and like I think it was Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, they finally said, we're not doing the charges and changes that we were going to be doing. Like, it looked like when Patreon was talking to creators kind of behind the scenes, they were basically saying, we want to make this better, we want to do this right, we are doing this, though. This is not an up for debate kind of thing. Even if people don't like it, we can be flexible about how it works. This is the new change, though.
Yeah, they were saying to creators, hey, we really messed up, we rolled it out badly.
Yeah. We explained it badly was like one of their big things. And it's like, well, it's not the explanation so much as how it's affecting creators, but okay, sure.
But they reversed it.
Yeah, they did the right thing, which was Tuesday night. They decided we can't go forward with these changes. It's negatively impacting too many people. And so they did the good, act of contrition thing of like, this is our fault. We shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have gotten in the middle of the relationship between fan and creator. That's not what we're here for. We're here to facilitate that, not, adversely affect it. So we're not doing this. If we have to make changes like this in the future, we'll communicate them far in advance. We won't do a thing where we're basically saying, hey, by the way, in less than 2 weeks, this change is happening. Like, that's not helpful to people. And since then, they've decided that one of the things they want to do, which is something that Todd Allen had suggested on The Beat when talking about ways that Patreon could make this right, is sending out emails to all of the people who dropped pledges between when Patreon said they were making changes and when Patreon said they were not making changes, to let those fans know, hey, these changes aren't going into effect. Here's a way you can reinstate your pledges, to try and get all that money back to the creators who were losing it through no fault of their own.
Interesting.
Which is a really good thing to do. One of the weird things about some of the messaging, both in the initial announcement and the final apology, is that in the initial announcement they mentioned that they've been talking to creators behind the scenes for a while about different changes they could make, and this was the best option they had, and this was the one that creators were already excited about. No creators seemed to be excited about it.
Nope.
Once they rolled it out. And then in their apology they mentioned that going forward they want to communicate these things better to the whole platform, but also to clear these things with creators, to make them aware of things, to kind of feel out what changes are necessary and what's going to work best for people. And when I was reading that in the apology, I thought you said you did this, and this is what you came up with. So either your sample group for the initial rollout was so heavily skewed that you didn't get any usable data, or you never did that, and that was a lie. So I kind of don't know which of those is worse. One is just a flat-out lie to your audience. The other is hopelessly negligent. So, I mean, kind of don't know which one's better for their public perception.
There's no right call on that.
So yeah.
Well, one of the things that I learned when I went into our account to try to change our $5 level to $4.50 to help people
to absorb the fees,
save on the fees, you can't change
so weird
the dollar amount to a pledge level. You have to create an entirely new pledge level.
Weird.
So I did, but now I think I'll just delete it.
Yeah, you might as well.
I mean, it even says This is in
because of the
reaction.
feeds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the points that I try to make with Patreon, and I get it, like, there's no rule that says you have to support creators, and I look at some creators who I know have, who I know have full-time jobs. Creators that are working regularly and have books coming out monthly, then I see their Patreon accounts, and there's a way you could set your account so people can either see how much you're getting or not see.
Uh-huh.
And I am stunned by some of the money that creators are making off of Patreon.
Yeah.
And
Too high or too low?
high,
Okay.
very high, like thousands of dollars per month.
That's great.
Which, that's the choice of the people who are the patrons.
Sure.
And then I look at our $38 and realize that like half of that goes back to other patrons.
Sure.
Or Patreon accounts, I guess. And then I look at our stats, where we've got a couple thousand listeners per episode, mind-bogglingly as that is.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, we don't do a per-episode structure
No.
like some podcasts do, which, I mean, we haven't missed a week in a very long time.
Yeah, we usually try and accommodate that if we know that we're not going to be able to record, either recording on an off day or creating additional content that can be rolled out.
I mean, there's times that we feel like we don't have anything, but
Sure.
we know we have patrons, so
Yeah,
we just hack something together. I mean, give you the quality entertainment.
exactly.
And I just wonder, I'm like, would it, it's not begging if we say, hey, what about $1 a month? That's a $12 a year pledge level.
Yeah, I don't think it's begging.
That breaks down to a quarter an episode. So if you think you get a quarter's worth of value or entertainment out of what we do, maybe be a patron if you like.
Maybe.
And I think I've said this before, but that's for people that don't shop at the store. If you shop at the store regularly, you support us that way.
Maybe. I don't know how people are getting these episodes, how they're receiving them.
How they listen to them, yeah.
Yeah, one of the options is on a dedicated episode page on our website.
Yeah.
So what maybe we would want to do in the future is put one of those little Patreon links that I see on people's websites and stuff.
Sure.
Probably just a little bit of JavaScript.
Sure.
Takes you to our patron page.
That's a Dal job.
I'll show you how to do it. I mean, I don't have.
Oh, you mean within each episode? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically.
Well,
we used to do it for iTunes.
Yeah,
as a
we
subscriber.
don't do that. Like I was going to say, we don't do the subscribe button either.
Right, but this actually shows. I mean, if our subscriptions go up, okay.
Sure.
But if our patron fees go up, yay.
Yeah, but speaking of iTunes, if you'd like to rate, review, and subscribe, that'd be great as well.
Okay.
That's literally a thing that every podcast I listen to does, and we never do it.
No.
We never. We rarely do the Patreon push where everybody else does it.
I don't think we look at this podcast as anything more than like a part of the job that we already do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I have to admit that after, 9 calendar years, 8 years of doing it, like 8 years of doing this.
348 other episodes.
Yeah, that it's an obligation. It's a job.
It is, but it's, again,
like,
it's part of our job.
There are times recently where I've been...
Like, if the store didn't exist...
I'm sorry, I can't do this thing socially with you, friend. I have to record and edit a podcast tonight.
Sure. But at the same time, if the store didn't exist, I don't think this podcast would exist.
No, it wouldn't.
So that's why I think of it as part of the job of challengers.
I guess.
In the same way as keeping the website up to date or pulling club or whatever. It's just part of the job.
But most of those other things we can do during store hours.
Sure.
This never is.
No.
And I don't know that this ever affects our bottom line. For example, I have yet to see somebody come in and say, oh, I'm buying this particular book because I heard you mention it on your Christmas gift guide.
Right. And I mean, when people come in and say, oh, I heard you on a podcast, it's never this podcast.
I mean, it's...
Like, people don't discover challengers from this podcast. They discover us because, I used to listen to...
Art of Wrestling.
Around Comics, or Art of Wrestling, or Marty and Sarah, or whatever. So, yeah, it's not that they find this podcast and go, oh, what is this magical store? No, that's not what this podcast is supposed to do.
But, I mean... The statistics show that the majority of people listening aren't our regular customers.
Sure. mostly Russian bot farms, but still, I appreciate their I guess not patronage because they're not really funding us.
Patroning, yeah.
But thank you, Tovarich.
So you want to talk about Free Comic Book Day, or
you pick, Patrick?
Well, I don't have an or, so
okay. Let's talk about Free Comic Book Day 2018.
Nope, I get to pick. I picked or.
Oh no, or was me leading you into a different alternative? Not...
I see. We're only mentioning Free Comic Book Day because the gold level sponsorship books were announced just today.
Yeah.
I can tell you that we have no set plans for the day thus far.
Other than we will be giving out free comic books.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed.
If there's a Challengers, we'll be giving out
wherever we are, we hope to be giving out free comics. And we have reached out to several different creators as far back as September and have had nothing to report.
Yeah, and only the gold level sponsors have been announced today. The silver sponsors will be next Tuesday, so we'll maybe talk about those on the next episode. There's going to be 40 books altogether this year.
Oh, down from 50.
I'm sorry, 50. Sorry.
Oh,
it is 50.
Same as last year.
Same as last year. They had 91 submissions from 70 different publishers.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
let me see if I can bring up the big list.
I could do it from my head bone.
Well, I wanted to mention there are two companies that are gold sponsors for the first time this year.
I know one of them off the top of my head.
Which one was that, Patrick?
First Second.
First Second is a gold level sponsor for the first time. Joe Books, that does Disney stuff.
Is the other one.
Is the other one.
I can tell you that both of those publishers do extremely well for us in Sidekicks.
That's true.
Like, a third of our books in there are from First Second.
Yeah.
Matt, that's not true, but a ton of them. And Joe Books with all their Disney books, their Disney Princess books, it's so weird to say all their Disney books when they don't do all the classic DuckTales or
that's true.
Walt Disney comic stories. Yeah,
IDW does DuckTales.
Yeah,
that's right.
But with all the Cinemanga adaptations or whatever,
yeah,
no one's a Cinemanga anymore. With all their movie, what are those books called?
I would just call them Cinemanga.
Oh, all right.
Probably not.
Well,
but
those books.
They do new material, the Disney Princess books, and then what they have here is also a new content sort of book. But starting from, I guess, alphabetically by publisher, Archie is a gold level sponsor again. Unlike, well, I was going to say unlike in years past where they've done more all ages material, but they'll probably also be a silver sponsor where the all ages book will probably be not Sonic.
Yeah, every year it's been Sonic. So.
But their gold level book
is IDW one of the sponsors? They should do a Sonic book.
They might.
But it's not.
It's not their gold book.
Yeah.
Archie's gold book is a reprint of Riverdale #6.
By the way, Dal, they just revealed who the Black Hood is on the TV series.
Is it secretly the Shield? Do you think he'll be in like season 3?
No, but it is.
Will they do a full-on Mighty Crusaders? Patrick, I'll start watching it.
No, because he was a bad guy and he's dead now.
Oh, that's too bad.
However, they're hinting at things like...
Was it Harvey Dent's wife?
Betty would be the new...
The new Black Hood,
yeah.
Betty? Yeah, sure.
It was a character I recognize. I want to talk about it because I don't watch the show. I just read a recap.
Oh, okay.
But Riverdale is a book that historically does very poorly for us, and we even stopped carrying it for a little bit, but now we do carry... like 3 copies.
Yeah, it's a weird book in that I think usually I'm more apt to try and steer people towards things like Afterlife or the Mark Waid Archie or Chilling Sabrina, like those rather than the straight up, here are extra stories of the characters from the TV show. Like, I want to give them something that's not the thing they've already seen in some form, but is by the same writer or does some of the same weird stuff with Archie. But anyway, Riverdale #6, that's Archie's book. Boom Studios is putting out the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers special. It's an all-new original Power Rangers story, exclusive to the Free Comic Book Day issue, that ties into the Power Rangers Shattered Grid storyline.
Which is a crossover between Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Saban's, Cinnabon's Go-Go Power Rangers.
Exactly. No. It's basically including all
Wait, did you just say no to me?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's
read the description.
I mean, it is with those characters, but those are the same characters that are in both books.
Okay.
I think.
I interpreted it as it is a crossover between those two series.
Well, it ties into the Power Rangers Shattered Grid storyline in the pages of Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Saban's Go-Go Power Rangers comic series.
That sounds right to me.
The bigger thing with this is that it's going to be including a lot of different Power Rangers series from over the years, not just the original Mighty Morphin cast. It will start including some of the other casts that have been introduced through the last 25 years or whatever. So if you have a favorite Power Ranger series that's more recent than the mid-1990s, they'll probably be showing up in some form.
I think that could be a big book. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible.
I mean, the Power Rangers have been waning over the last year or so.
Yeah.
But I think this is enough of an excitement level.
Yeah, this could bring back some fans that, again, maybe have a fandom that isn't, OG Power Rangers. It might be something a little bit more modern for them. Younger fans, maybe. Dark Horse is putting out, for their gold level book, and for most of these gold level sponsors, again, they'll be putting out a silver book as well. Archie usually has 2 books. Boom might have a couple books. Dark Horse has a couple books.
70 publishers.
Marvel, DC will have
in.
a silver book as well, and so on. Image will probably have a silver book as well. But Dark Horse is doing... they usually do split books. You flip it over
like
to different
Serenity
comic book.
and Avatar.
Yeah. Like, usually it's like something they own with something that they don't own. So, like a license thing. It might be like Aliens on one side and Hellboy on the other side. The gold book is Overwatch Black Hammer. Overwatch, the video game, Black Hammer, the Jeff Lemire.
Black Hammer is excellent. I love that comic. And Overwatch, it's huge.
It's so huge. It's the hugest thing.
I think that's another great idea. I think that's a great book.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with most of these books
for
the gold level sponsors.
They honestly sound like really good ideas, and for the most part, they're things that we sell already. So it's like, this is great. So if someone is like, Overwatch, I didn't know they do that. We could be like, here's the Overwatch anthology already.
Well, we don't have it currently, but
we'll have it by
hopefully
May.
by then.
I assume we'll have a few copies by the first week of May.
I mean, if it was available to us, it could have been a good Christmas seller.
True. One of the things I like about the Dark
People
Horse
aren't buying things for Christmas.
flip book is that the Black Hammer story, which I am woefully behind on Black Hammer.
It hurts me to hear you say that.
The storyline in it is basically the Black Hammer version of the Legion of Superheroes, which is super cool. I really want to see what Jeff Lemire and Wilfredo Torres do with that. DC it apparently has the rights to the classic Val Kilmer film Top Secret because their book is called Top Secret Gold Book.
Whoa.
Weird choice, but I mean, all right. Maybe that's a Warner Brothers property. I don't remember. No, as always, DC and Marvel will not be announcing their gold level books until closer to the event because their gold level books are probably things that are going to be larger events in their respective universes in the springtime.
At least Marvel says it's Avengers Captain America.
Yeah, shocker. It's based on one of the movies that's coming out that summer for
Yeah.
Marvel. It always is. This past year's one was like they did an Avengers one and a Cap one and a Spider-Man one and something else because guess what?
Guardians.
Yeah, you have Guardians and Spider-Man coming out this summer, so there you go. Like, one thing for the movies, one thing for the comic books. So DC's thing is related to something that they'll have coming out in May or June, probably. We'll find out in February what that is.
Do you think it's too late in the year to do, like, a New Age of DC Heroes sampler?
Yeah, most
Since
of
all those books would have been out for 4 months?
They'll all be out. It would be cool if DC just did that in general, like, as a smaller thing to hand out.
Yeah.
But no, this will be something that will be tying into some big book they've got coming out. It could be some big crossover event. I've heard someone mentioning that, but I don't know where they're getting that info from or if they're just reading between the lines. Anyway, moving on. First first gold level book is called Comics Friends Forever. It is going to include work from Vera Brosgol, who is doing the cover art. Hope Larson, Therese Miracle, Harper, Bet Hatke, Shannon Hale, Liu and Pham. So I don't know if this is just going to be excerpts from those creators' various books or brand new short stories for the special. I'd love if it's the latter, but if it's the former, that's fine. Those are good books.
I am excited that First Second is part of this. I'm really happy to see them engaging on this level.
Sure.
Anthology books for Free Comic Book Day never do as well as other books.
Yeah.
And this cover, while nicely done, it's not going to grab anybody.
It's not super dynamic, but
it's like the Boom Summer Spectacular covers.
Yeah, it's
like
usually just a bunch of characters
They never mean anything
hanging out.
to anybody.
Yeah.
I love the properties. I love everyone involved. I looked at that title. Just what?
Yeah, I'm okay with it mostly because I'd like us. I mean, if we have extras of this, that's not a bad thing to have. You know, to
Right.
be able to just hand a book like that, to just drop it on top of any stack of kids' books someone's buying in the future to go, hey, here's some other stuff. Because maybe they look through that and they see something and go, oh, I didn't know I could get a book
Sure.
like Real Friends or whatever. IDW's gold level book, because Patrick requested it, Transformers Unicron: The Darkest Hour #0.
I was so excited for this Omnicron book. that I've been writing letters to my congressmen, my state senators, my House of Representatives. They all answered with form letters saying, "This has nothing to do with us. Leave us alone." But anyway,
they did their work behind the scenes, because we not only have Unicron: The Darkest Hour #0, it's a murderer's row of Transformers talent. John Barber writing it, Alex Milne as the interior artist, Sarah Petra de Roche as the cover artist,
and a unique logo that stands out from normal Transformers branding.
Yep, it's got Unicron's butthole right on the cover. No, that's his mouth. I can't believe they're calling it The Darkest Hour. There's like 4 things that get brought up from the Transformers animated movie all the time in comics, and lighting their darkest hour is one of them. So great.
In your darkest hour.
I am personally looking forward to this because I like John Barber and Alex Milne a lot. They both recently did the kind of underrated ROM Transformers crossover that was better than it kind of had any right to be.
So what do we order for this, seeing as how we really don't stock Transformers on the shelf anymore?
Oh, a low number.
Okay.
This is not a book that's for anyone but Transformers fans. People will probably pick it up and try it out because it's Transformers. But I don't expect this to be a huge conversion of people into monthly Transformers readers.
Whoa, conversion. Is that a wordplay for Transformers?
No, but okay, sure. Image Comics, I think, for me at least, wins Free Comic Book Day with their gold choice.
Down. Oh my goodness.
We've complained in the past about how Image Comics doesn't necessarily do the best outreach when it comes to Free Comic Book Day. A lot of times the books they pick for their gold and silver levels are books that we personally don't have a lot of faith in. They're either books that have a more limited audience, like Kid Savage, or are books that are kind of the image that people try to forget about, like whatever Mark Silvestri Studio is doing. Yeah. It's not the stuff that we think of it when we think of Image Comics, like Saga and Sex Criminals and Extremity and Curse Words and Witch Planet and so on.
As hinted at earlier in this very podcast...
Image Comics Gold Book is a reprint of the formerly digital-only Barrier Number 1 by Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin, part of their Panel Syndicate initiative.
You know, like The Private Eye.
Yeah, this was their follow-up. The first chapter and every chapter thereafter was a pay-what-you-want level. You could get it for free if you really wanted to, or toss them a few bucks if you thought they earned it.
Like this podcast.
Exactly. Not only is Barrier Number 1 a Free Comic Book Day comic, but for the rest of May... the following 4 chapters of Barrier will be released by Image Comics weekly. So by the end of May, you will have the entire 5 chapters of Barrier in print. Here's the big thing. According to the solicit, quote, "There are no plans for these print issues to ever be collected, so the only way to own your own copies of this groundbreaking story is by supporting your friendly neighborhood comic shop."
Now, Dow, let me ask you the terrible questions right away.
Patrick.
Number 1. Will we pull this book for people who don't come in on Free Comic Book Day?
Traditionally, no. One of the big things that we do about Free Comic Book Day is that all you have to do to get free comics is come in. Which means the only way to get free comics is to come in.
Like, I was thinking if Marvel introduced their brand new ongoing Avengers series by whomever and whatever, with issue 1 for free.
Right.
Again, we wouldn't just pull that for Avengers peoples.
Right. However...
I'm not done.
Okay.
And then, will we still give it away post Free Comic Book Day? Like, will it be racked next to issue 2 when issue 2 comes out?
Yeah. So here's where the however comes in. The one exception that we've had in the past to we don't pull Free Comic Book Day comics, because we'll sometimes have people say, "Hey, I can't make it in. Can you pull these 6 comics for me or whatever?"
And we say no.
We say no. There have been times in the past where a 0 issue for an event series is released as their Free Comic Book Day issue. Secret Empire, Secret Wars, probably some other stuff. And we read those comics because we get them in about a month ahead of time. So we get to read them and go, oh my god, people are going to need to read this. And we usually bend the rule for that.
So last year, when it was Secret Empire 0, if you were signed up for Secret Empire by Free Comic Book Day, we pulled it for you.
So basically along those lines, if you sign up for Barrier, and the only way to get issue 1 is on Free Comic Book Day, we will pull Barrier Number 1 for you. If you sign up for it before May 4th or earlier, we will pull it for you on May 5th. It would be... You'd be shooting yourself in the foot if you don't do it that way.
Right.
Because why would people buy 2 through 5 if they didn't come in on Free Comic Book Day then?
But if you're not signed up for it and you ask us to pull it for you, we're not going to do it.
Nope. Yeah, if you want to sign up for the series, yes.
Free Comic Book Day is so much extra work for us. we can't fill individual requests.
Yeah, and again, the only reason we're doing this is to get people to come into the store. If you're saying, I want the free comics and I don't want to come into the store, the whole system doesn't work now. Why are we doing this?
I was reading a post today by a fellow comic book retailer who was really down because he had just gotten off the phone with a customer who was screaming at him, and he was taking it personally. And he never said what it was about, but I thought, like, it's your store. You don't have to feel bad about that because you can't... I mean, you can feel bad that they feel the need to scream at you, or...
and no one wants to get yelled at.
And I don't mean you don't have to take it. I mean, if somebody screams at me because I wouldn't pull barrier number 1 for them...
Sure.
We have so few rules at our store.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful for you to even ask.
Yeah.
Disrespectful to us.
True.
But anyway, Barrier is going to be huge. Because it's a weekly series, we're worried about how to order 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Obviously, we're going to be hyping it to people who get Saga or Paper Girls. I have a number in my head of what I think we're going to order for each issue.
Why don't you show me round numbers on your hand? That's a low number, I thought.
The thing I'm worried about is...
Okay, what about for the Free Comic Day one?
4 times that?
Okay. I was thinking right in between either this one or this one, and you picked that one.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then your number's fine.
Yeah, hopefully this is a thing. Like,
it's just that after May, like,
right.
It can't have 5 spaces on the shelf.
No, especially because they're double wide, which basically, because it's a landscape format book, it's going to need like 10 spaces or a whole shelf. Which I'm fine doing it for something like Barrier because it's a book that I think we're excited about, and I like the first chapter a whole lot. I'm excited to read the rest of it in print. I just, with the weekly thing, the comment I made to you earlier today, I mean, there's a difference between what we'd order if this thing turns out to be like Paper Girls versus if it turns out to be We Stand on Guard.
Right.
Those were 2 different numbers.
I've never told this story to anyone other than you, that for local comic shop...
listening.
So Local Comic Shop Day 2017, months before it happened, I reached out to Skybound and said, hey guys, I don't know what you're planning to do for Local Comic Shop Day, but I think the best thing you could possibly do is to do a print version of the BKV Marcus Martin Walking Dead comic that they did for
Panel Syndicate.
Yep. It's called The Alien.
Only available digitally.
And I bought it, and I loved it. I mean, I loved it.
I never read it.
And I'm like, you guys should absolutely do this. It's exactly the kind of thing that will drive people into the store.
Sure.
It'll make it an event. It'll make people care. And, you can reprint it some other way or whatever. Or so I actually, it became a dialogue with them, talking about what other things publishers were doing and what we thought was the best way to go. And, of course, what we think is the best way to go is the complete opposite of what every publisher did.
Yep, don't worry, they'll just do a hardcover book.
And
with a different cover.
They wound up doing a
hardcover book with a different
cover. A fancy fancy foil stamping Maestros.
Maestros. That was this year's book.
Yeah, but I mean, we always push for original content, which this technically would have been. So everybody, I tried to make this a thing that you could already have. While Barrier isn't that book, the quality is as good.
Cool.
I mean, you've read Private Eye, right, listener?
Question mark.
If you haven't, buy it. It's excellent. And it's more poignant now than when it came out 2-3 years ago.
Oh, man, is it ever.
Jeez. Oh, my goodness.
It's just getting more poignant year by year.
So, Barrier is our pick for Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, and obviously it's subject to change. We don't know the DC and Marvel books. If the DC one is Aztec number 0 and the Marvel one is Power Pack number 0,
Yeah, but you wouldn't be more excited. You'd be equally excited.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah. And normally we go super heavy on the book that we have somebody signing for. We're not going to have BKV or Marcus Martin or Marcus Martin's wife for this book.
You don't know that?
I do. I categorically know that will not happen. But we're still going to have a ton. And
sure.
Man, I almost feel like giving it to everybody anyway, just because...
Yeah, maybe. We've done that with quarter issues of Saga.
Yeah. I meant everybody who came to Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, I see.
But
yeah,
I like your idea, though. Interesting.
This is a book that I don't mind if we order a ton extra
Yeah.
beyond what we would normally order for a book of that
Well,
caliber.
I mean, but
It's fine.
issue 1 is 56 pages.
Yeah.
So, like, what if it's a 75-cent?
You're going to hate picking up that week. I think,
Oh, you're not kidding.
I think the prices will be the same as they normally are. I don't imagine
Okay.
this will be a more expensive
Well-
gold level book, because the gold level books, you have to order all of them at a minimum level, or you're not allowed to participate in the larger promotional
True.
aspects of Free Comic Book Day. So I don't think they could do that and then say, oh, by the way, the Image one's twice as expensive this year. That's not going to go over super great with the steering committee.
As far as picking up, I mean, it's always a separate day, so...
I know, but man, that's a lot of copies of a 56-page
I know.
landscape book. Oh man,
Yeah. Well, but I mean, it's going to be the same size. It's just...
they're gonna have to pack it differently because it's gonna be too.
Nah, it'll be fine.
It's gonna be too awkward for them.
It'll be fine. It'll be in the same boxes, I'm
Okay,
positive.
I hope you're right. Moving on, brand new gold level sponsor, Joe Books, which does the Disney stuff, is doing Disney Princess Ariel Spotlight. Ariel, the Little Mermaid, not Kitty Pryde's alias. Paul Benjamin, Amy Meberson. It collects both new and fan favorite strips. So if you're a collector, don't miss out on that one. I like that they're doing that sort of stuff. I think the Disney Princess comics
Hey, we didn't turn the heat off.
do well. Yeah, I noticed. We're almost done this, so I'm not getting up.
I noticed too, but now.
I'm not getting up. Marvel Comics, gold level sponsor once again. Avengers and Captain America, as I think Patrick stated earlier. A special top secret project too big to announce. Check back in February. The reason it's in February is because that is when orders close for the Free Comic Book Day comics, so they can set their print runs. So they have to tell you.
They don't have to. We've ordered blind before.
They don't do that anymore. I think they got enough complaints of, like, I don't know what to do for this gold book. Like, it's one thing if it's these creators, it's another if it's these. It's one thing if it's
Now,
a big book, it's another if it's not.
if Marvel got the message or knew what they were doing, they wouldn't be offering us stuff like Infinity Countdown.
No?
Infinity Countdown goes against everything that they said they wouldn't be doing.
What's that?
Well, they took Guardians of the Galaxy number 151, canceled it, rebranding it,
Yep. Infinity Countdown, Adam Warlock?
yeah, and then they're doing this potentially weekly series. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, Infinity Countdown. Prime.
And it's what is it counting down to? What is Infinity Countdown?
0 readers.
What is it?
Don't know.
But it's got all the Infinity Gems. Everyone's going to want it.
I think technically they're calling them stones now,
Okay, whatever.
because that's how the Marvel Cinematic Universe does it.
Sure.
So in the books, they're stones now.
That's fine.
It's not. I think it's dumb.
I think it's terribly dumb.
I wish that kind of thing stopped more than anything else in Marvel Comics. I wish they stopped doing the follow the leader thing of, oh, the movies say this, then this is what we're doing. Because
It's two different audiences.
well, we've had 10 years of showing that it doesn't work. That doesn't make people who are watching the films go, oh, now they're called Infinity Stones? I gotta get this Guardians comic. They don't. They already decided they're going to get it or not get it, which is what turned out to be the decision they made.
And it's the same thing where we heard that Jerry Dugan said it's just Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel just decided to make it something bigger.
Same two guys are doing it.
It just like Avengers Standoff became a big crossover.
Yeah.
Well, not a big crossover, but a crossover.
Yeah. Fear itself was supposed to be just a thing between Thor and Captain America, I think, and then it became like some giant story that was not very good.
It's just annoying that these things are announced after C.B. Cebulski has been put into charge.
Yeah, strange choice. Oni Press, with their gold level book, Invader Zim, Floopsy Bloops Schmoopsy is what the book is called.
You can't go wrong with that or Rick and Morty. They did Rick and Morty last year, so I could see not doing it again. I'm thankful that there isn't another Rick and Morty thing.
Sure.
Although I think that would get more people in. However, Invader Zim is one of their best-selling books, so sure, let's go with it.
Yeah, according to this, though, it is actually a story from Invader Zim number 20 that's been reprinted.
Oh, okay.
It is, though, one that Yonan Vasquez actually wrote, according to the credits. So that's something. Titan Comics, Doctor Who number 0, cover to be revealed. A new day dawns for the Doctor. 2018's epic journey starts here.
So, I'm very disappointed in all of these Doctor Who books, because they're all anthologies with a little bit of each Doctor, and this is, like, take a look at what's... Because they're going to start all their books over again at 1,
Yep.
like season 4
Year
or whatever.
4 or whatever.
So this is just the first chapter of all those, and your first look at the new Doctor in comics. It doesn't say that there's a story. Like, they can't...
It might just be the cover.
They can't do...
Or like an ad for it.
Yeah, they can't do stories with her until the series starts in the fall.
They don't know who she is yet, like
Right.
what her character is. So this is new stories for the 10th and 11th Doctors, and then your first look, as Patrick said, at the 13th Doctor.
We're going to go low on those because we still have 2 years ago left over.
That's not good. Wrapping up the gold level
And
sponsors
they always do photo covers.
They will, yeah. Free Comic Book Day 2018. It's Pokemon Sun and Moon / Pokemon Horizon. This is stuff from the Pokemon manga that Viz publishes.
Okay.
I assume it's a chapter from each of them. Yeah, there you go.
Overall, it's a pretty strong lineup.
Yeah, there's really nothing on here I'm like, I wish that wasn't a gold level book. We're going to get stuck with that. Everything feels fairly strong.
And isn't the buy-in really low for those?
Yeah, it's usually like, I can't remember. It's like 25 copies or $25 or something. It's a really low amount.
What we did, it's so funny that we're doing this now because, like, the last 2 years we did an in-depth, here's all the books once we got them. Mm-hmm. But that's 6 months from now. People will forget.
Yeah, for sure. And we can definitely do like a pre-free comic book day. Look, if you got to pick 3 books, here's the 3 you should pick.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like, hey, it's content for today.
Sure.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, our ordering structure has been, they offer 50 books. We order between 26 and 28 of them.
Yeah, obviously.
And go heavy.
We order all the gold ones, and then the silver ones, our main criteria is, do we normally carry this publisher or series?
Well, even books like last year, the Fantagraphics book, we're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. We got a ton of.
Yeah, but usually the ones we skip are things like the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide one. We don't carry the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. Why would we carry a thing supporting it?
Yeah.
Stuff from Zenescope, like, we don't really carry Zenescope comics, so that's usually not good for us. American Mythology or Graphic India, like, we don't carry those for the shelf anymore. It's not worth it.
Right.
But those are always on a case-by-case basis. Occasionally, if it's something from a publisher where we're like, well, we don't usually carry them, but this sounds like it could be cool.
Yeah, you never know.
Sure.
Could be surprises.
Try it out. Maybe someone's into it and they want more of it.
We had a signing last week at the store. We had Mark L. Miller from Grave Trancers from Black Mascan, and he was a real fun guy.
Yeah, he was a nice guy. It was very nice of him to give time out of his schedule for that.
He was someone that I recognized as being a Challenger's customer, so that's...
Who shopped with us before.
That's a surprise.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely have him back in the future.
For sure.
If there is a future.
Oh, Patrick.
And next week we have Henri Kampmann and maybe Dan Doherty in for their
Don't know yet.
brand new historical graphic novel Marks.
Suppose we'll find out around 4:59 on Wednesday.
Right. That'll be a thing.
Am I getting another chair? No.
So that'll be. Are we putting up 2 tables or not? Henri is always entertaining to us.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
And he's very passionate about his work, which creators should be.
Sure.
And even though it's the Christmas holiday season and you're probably thinking about your last-minute gifts and you want to make sure you have everyone in the list covered, obviously we can help you with all of your comic, graphic novel, action figure needs for the holiday. But don't forget yourself. Don't forget you. You deserve treats as well. And if you feel bad buying something for yourself in the Christmas season, just remember... February 7th through February 13th, it's our yearly I Love You But I've Chosen Comics 25% off sale. And at that point, you'll hopefully have paid off all your Christmas credit cards.
Yeah.
Gotten your tax return in.
Boy, that's helpful.
So, treat yourself.
Yeah, treat yourself.
I got official approval to put in the song to last week's episode.
Yeah.
At the end. I got just put it in at the very end. Well, that's where it's going to go anyway. So there's another one at the end of this episode, the second holiday song for the year, and I expect just as many people to love it as told me that they loved last week's.
Oh, Patrick.
So this has been Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network here in Chicago. I have been Patrick Brower.
And I'm W. Dublish.
Happy holidays.
And keep reading comics.
Big wheels are rolling.
It's Darth Vader! Watch out! And he's got a lightsaber!
It's our Star Wars action figures glowing in the air. With hair you may grow. Kiss. Each 12.5-inch figure sold separately by Mego. Is it a big
Christmas gift? What is it I'll get? What have you bought me but haven't wrapped yet? Wrapped yet? Why haven't you wrapped it yet? Is it He-Man's Castle Grayskull, a baseball mitt, or hula hoop? What? Is it ice skates or Pokemon, a Rubik's Cube, or Cabbage Patch doll? Christmas gift! What is mine? Christmas gift! What? What is mine? Is it an easy bake of What is mine? Christmas gift! What is mine? Christmas gift! Is it Monopoly or Risk? What is mine? Transformers or Autobots? Oh, this is driving me insane! What is it? What is it? What is mine? Is it Legos or comic books? A CD player or Hot Wheels? What is mine? What is Christmas gift? What is mine? What is mine? What is mine? Christmas gift. Hanukkah gift once again. What is it? What is it? What is mine? What is it? What is it? Kwanzaa gift, Hanukkah gift. What is it? What is it?
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.